Alright, so this is my pro BLM, my first pro Black Lives Matter post, video. I've been seeing a lot of vitriol on Fox News about BLM protesting. Fox News, what do you guys think of the Chauvin verdict? Oh, BLM is gonna riot and protest. BLM did this, BLM did this. They're gonna burn cities down, destroy property and loot, and steal and vandalize and rob. That's all the response to this Chauvin verdict is. To get away from the reality of what happened. No one looted, no one protested or rioted or burned anything down on the verdict being guilty. And we can't imply, had the verdict been not guilty for Chauvin, Black Lives Matter would have been burning stuff down and people would have been protesting and rioting like crazy. We don't know that. I said, yes, if the verdict was not guilty, I would have been like very upset and angry. And I'm a gentle guy, so I can't imagine if my neighbor or friend of mine or someone I know who's really angry and really outraged, what they would do, right? There's scales to this, there's grades to this thing, right? Right? To the way people respond to something this heavy, right? It's not a light topic. He didn't go he's not in trial for robbing an ice cream truck. He killed a man in the most gruesome possible way you could imagine and see, while wearing a uniform that represented good and justice, right? That's what that was about, right? Like I said, BLM didn't do anything last summer because they're idle and didn't have anything else to do, right? Had George Floyd not died, had Derek Chauvin not decided to do what he did, there wouldn't have been anything last summer. It would have been a coronavirus summer where it's just bits of news, right? But Chauvin did what he did, and we, the world, not me, the world responded to seeing that, right? Deal with it, right? Tucker Carlson is talking about O.J. Simpson when he got the non-guilty verdict. White people who are upset about it, they didn't go out and protest and loot and burn anything down. That was that 1993, 92? Like, come on. 30 years ago? Because that trial didn't mean anything for white people, for conservative white Americans. That didn't mean anything for them, right? If OJ was guilty or not guilty, they still went about their lives, not scared of OJ, right? Maybe there's always a fear of black men, right? So, but that wouldn't have changed guilty or not guilty, right? So it didn't affect anyone, right? I know some people were cheering that OJ got off, whatever, and that was trolling the justice system that incarcerates so many black men for pettier shit, right? Think of marijuana is legal now. How many black people are in jail around the country for carrying a pack of marijuana 10 years ago or a couple years ago? How many people are in jail? Black people, right? But now white men are starting companies that's making millions of dollars. The guy, Matt Gaetz' friend, the Republican guy in Florida, sorry, I hate to be chewing gum. His best friend, the hand doctor with a boat, he makes millions off of like marijuana apparently or something like that in the state of Florida, right? So now it's a white man's game. It's legal and it's all cool. But how many black men are in prison for that same thing and making hundreds of dollars in the street, in jail for a long time? And these white men are making millions of dollars off the industry now. So when OJ got the not guilty verdict, we cheered. I cheered. I was like 12 or something like that. I cheered. My parents cheered. My uncles and aunties cheered. Because we saw black people go to jail for less than that for hundreds of years in this country. So when OJ got off with it, whether he did it or not, we didn't care, right? But we cheered because, wow, the justice system is a weird thing. And we were like, that was our cheering. White people didn't give a damn. They were upset about it, but it didn't affect them, right? If Chauvin got a not guilty verdict 2 days ago, if the Chauvin trial ended in not guilty in all 3 counts, you know what would have happened? I tell you what would have happened. BLM protesters, rioters would have happened likely, but what would that have set a precedent for, right? Property could be replaced in a matter of months or weeks, right? At Someone stealing sneakers from a store, Foot Locker, that's garbage. That could be replaced. Insurance, people have insurance for that, right? I have a business, I have a shop, I have insurance for that. You could break into my store right now and take everything out of that, right? Call my insurance company, come send an adjuster down, everything's replaced within a month, right? My storefront is repaired, replaced within a month. I pay insurance for that. So I know how it works as a black business owner, right? So don't give me the spiel of, oh, they're burning businesses down. Could George Floyd, mom, or not mom, but his family call? Oh, insurance people come and bring my brother back, bring my dad back? No, you can't. You can't do that, ever, right? If someone goes to jail for a minor offense, can I call the police department and say, could you bring my brother out of jail right now and come down and fix it within a week or month? No, you can't. You cannot do that, right? So there's a reason people protest, right? There's a scale to that. Some people go extreme on it, and some people just with the signs and the shouting, right? Fox News went on about the protest. No, not a soul protested all week, right? Fox News goes, these people are out of control, blah, 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 blah. Now in Florida, they have this anti-protest bill. Anti-rioting bill. It's an anti-protest bill, right? Because there's a scale to that. Like I said, there's a scale to that, and it's subjective, right? So if I'm a police officer, full riot gear, and I see people yelling and holding signs, I have a right to determine under the law that Rick DeSantis just put out that these people are violent. These people are, I'm scared for my life. These people are violent. They're yelling, they're holding a sign. You know, even though they're not doing anything bad or physically hurting anyone, as a police officer, I now have the law that says some of this stuff is illegal, that I could determine you're doing what's illegal within the structure of this law. I'm going to arrest you. I'm going to put you in jail. Right? That's what that bill does. It gives power to police. But worse than that, it gives power to people that see rioters in the street, whatever part of town it is. Now, I could shoot and kill people rioting, protesting, if I feel that I'm scared, right? Think about that thing in Missouri last year with the white couple, Ken and Karen, I think they call them. The old white couple with the guns, when people walking past their street, they came with the firearms. Those people could legally now shoot them if they fear for their lives, and a court of law determines that the people rioting or peacefully protesting were somehow threatening in appearance, right, or character or presence to the people that live there. So these laws put us where we are in Russia, right? And Republicans always complain. Healthcare, oh my God, socialism. Tax breaks for poor middle class, socialism. Improvements of social service and mental health services, socialism, communism, But saying people can't protest, or protesting now is in an area of a law where some of it is illegal and some of it is okay, depending on how police officers view it. Depending on how the court systems view what you're doing, right? Like I said, I could go out right now with a sign in not my backyard, but in my front yard, and walk past someone else's house, holding a sign saying, I don't like red houses or I don't like greenhouses, right? Freedom of speech says I could do that. But if the person living in a red house or greenhouse, they're like, oh my God, this black guy's out there with a sign saying he doesn't like greenhouses. Is he gonna hurt me? Now I can pull a gun out and shoot him. And I could go to court and say, like, he was outside with that sign. I saw him. I felt afraid for my life, right? And I killed him. All right, Mr. Johnson, you're free to go. That's what that law does. Right? And right now in Russia, right, people are protesting, and look at the news. I know Fox News, and you guys that like the Fox stuff, you don't like to turn all the... Look at the world news today. In Russia, Putin and the government of Russia arrested thousands of people protesting for Navalny coming out of jail or wherever situation he's in. They want him out. They want him released. He didn't do anything wrong. They want him released. Protesting is not allowed in Russia. The elections in Belarus last year, I think it's Belarus, right? A woman lost the election. She had to leave the country because she lost, and she actually won. I think she won the election, but they contested it, and she had to leave the country. BBC were interviewing her in another country. She couldn't even say where she was. And people protested on behalf of her, locked in jail, shot, some killed. Myanmar, Burma, formerly known as Burma right now. People are rioting because of this election thing. They pulled the woman out of power. People want her back in. I don't know the details, but all I see, riot gear police are shooting people dead, from little kids to old people. You riot, you protest, they have a right to shoot you. That's how communism and socialist countries work, without amendments and rights of people that live there, right? The first step, this is the first step, right? I know some Florida, I would never live in Florida, right? I have a Republican friend from Long Island, just bought a house in Sarasota, Florida, right? She probably loves that stuff, right? But God forbid someone kneels on her son's neck, right? 20 years down the line, and she was like, wait a minute, I want to protest police brutality now. I supported this law 20 years ago, but now someone has a right to drive a car over you and shoot you and kill you because you're simply walking down the street protesting. That's all that law is saying, right? Right? See how it flips over now when it's your, so think about that. First it was voting, right? These Republican jurisdictions and places, Trump lost, so election has to be fixed. So black people of color, people that work, people with childcare, people that need childcare can't stand on line for 10 hours to vote, right? So let's take that away. Let's get rid of that, right? Voting rights are taken away. Now freedom of speech is taken away, right? Fox News, we want to talk about cancel culture, and YouTube is taking away freedom of speech, and Facebook is taking away freedom of speech. The government is taking away freedom of speech, freedom of protest, right? The government is doing that now. In Florida, Oklahoma also passed a similar law, right? The government, when the government does it, right? It's statewide. It's wherever you go in the government. If YouTube does it or Facebook does it, turn off your fucking computer, right? Pick up a phone and call someone, right? And YouTube and Facebook, those are private companies that I don't put any money into, or Google or whatever. State governments, federal governments, local governments, my tax money pays for all that shit, right? Right? The guy in the suit and the tie, the governor of Florida, my tax money pays for your suit and tie, right? Our votes put you in office, right?